Between the Napoleonic and the American. You also have a strike plane. We will be using both black powder firearms, button firearms, and ground charges, and horses throughout the day. So please steer clear of that. It is worth mentioning that of course, the responsibilities are straight across all the main 10 ways to come in. So please take note of that. And the first event there are 3 arenas. One of them is located in the Sutler's Row, which is where the main house. Food and ammunition to soldiers. We will, however, while the Union can produce almost anything in great volume, and by the end of the war, the volume of production in the North is so massive that the state of New York alone is producing more raw material than the entire South. The last thing we want to happen is for any raw material to fall into Southern hands. Because to be honest, the South can't produce it, and capturing it is an incredibly viable way of probably the nearest thing to modern troops. I want to say colourful, more colourful uniforms of regular troops. And the Dunlop Company had actually blacked out all of their buttons, so you'll see no shiny snipers is later, and their job would be to find the enemy and then take out key players in the enemy, such as generals, colonels, sergeants, buglers, musicians, people that were either the command or the unit. Now we're very lucky to have on the field today the cavalry. We have the cavalry. And there are new countries here. Now the sharpshooters represented a more modern approach to fighting the war. Here are the regular blockers you see. And what actually has been a problem on it. You see very clearly that they're still going to fight as a block of infantry. And we have some Union cavalry here as well. Union cavalry were very fortunate compared to the Confederate army, had breech-loading carbines. We had repeating carbines. The Confederate cavalry still has handguns. So one of the obvious things over here, this war is called often the war between the blues and greys. Well, the first part of that is ostensibly true because all the troops in front of you here that are on this crowd line here are wearing full-length coats and big tall hats. At the beginning of the war, Napoleonic ideals prevailed still a lot. So essentially, the hats and his long blue coat, similar to Napoleonic troops, although it had been simplified. We no longer have all the bright colours, it's not necessary. But what happens is, there's still the various units. But the units are then sent out the sack coats like a donkey jacket. The sack coats, they're what they do, their regular caps at the end of the night. So by the end of the week, forage caps and the sack coats. And this becomes, if you like, the endearing image of the Union infantryman, although it's probably not the endearing image of the Union. But if the blue is correct, the grey is certainly a bit of a misnomer. You see, the grey army was very small, the Confederates had no uniforms, so the only uniforms they confused in the was still dressed to fire. This is a problem. We no longer have 50-yard firing muskets. What we have now is rifled weapons. Our weapons are now capable of firing not 50 yards accurately, but 100 at any time here. It goes to chaos. Because you now don't have to wait till you get within 50 yards, because what happens is the enemy begins to shoot you. To go back to our Confederates. The Confederates needed a uniform and they didn't have one. And the grey thing was causing way too much confusion because the cadets were in grey, some regiments in the Confederate Army were in blue, some were in grey, the Union cadets were in grey, and carnage ensued. A lot of friendly fire incidents, and somebody decided something had to happen. The Confederates decided they were going to have a uniform, and it was going to be a lovely dark chestnut that really had the interspersal full half-passed mix. It's not awfully hard wearing, and they dyed dark brown. The problem was, everybody who made these uniforms made them differently, because each state had its own idea. Don't forget, the Confederacy is formed on states' rights. So each state demanded the right to it, which therefore means that we have a slight issue going on. Also, the dyes weren't very good, so they faded. So what we ended up with the Confederate ranks is this series of butternut colours, and they were all different colours, because they've all faded differently. These sack coats that they eventually made to a standard pattern at the Richmond depot are made only there at the standard pattern. The governor of Georgia made his own and then refused to let the Confederate Army have them because they were Georgians. So it's now suffering from terms of what it can produce. The very way it's shared out is trouble. The Union, on the other hand, didn't such a problem, and it had all of the connection junctions. It could produce 364 bullets for every bullet the Confederacy could produce. It could produce cannons. But more importantly, it could move Confederates goes through the roof. Britain is supplying the Confederates. The Confederates probably can't pay. Bizarrely, the only money they can pay is the $40. All they can do is capture. The North, on the other hand, suffered no such problem. It introduces a series of income taxes to pay for the war. It introduces... So we mentioned British involved in this war, very expensive. But most of the infantrymen are armed with either the Pattern 58 Enfield rifle or the 1861 or 1863 Springfield rifle. Now the Americans look to those two together. The reason they do this is so they can say that it was 700,000 1861, 700,000 1863, gives me 1 point in the American Civil War in rifles. It's the British 1858 Enfield rifle, of which there is 900,000 of. Open VK10 WZ. VK10 WZU. Could the owner please return to it and shut the door? % of all the gunpowder used in this war came from England. The last 5% was homemade by the Americans. East Indians. The source was owned by... Interestingly though, Britain would have, the Union Army had not made any headway. The Confederates had successfully defended their right to independence, and the war looked like it was going to drag on, and an incredibly unpopular one in the world. Abraham Lincoln saw it coming, and in 1863 he did one thing. Now there's been many reasons why Abraham Lincoln did the Emancipation Proclamation. Some people say he hated slavery. Yes, he did. There's lots of writing. But he was not a drafted slave. That's the Palmerston, the British Prime Minister, had been quietly supporting the South for a long time. Because the British public were okay with this, an uncaring North is not a big problem. What Abraham Lincoln did with that one document was change the stance of the North. All of a sudden, you've got an anti-slave with the North because of his change of stance. So it can be argued that the Emancipation Proclamation had a much bigger effect on England than perhaps America. And that was exactly what he designed. At that point, of course, Abraham Lincoln said perhaps get on with the business at hand. Despite for 3 years an unpopular war, which has not gone so well. Despite his beginning to change, the Northern War Machine has held him for years. He's now got generals like Grant who realise that an attritional war can be fought. And essentially, once he's taken England, France and Russia out of the equation, once he's got all the time in the world, Abraham Lincoln allows his generals to get on with the attrition. Now we mentioned the simplification of the uniform. Obviously the Confederate uniforms are made from various states who have made the brown coloured trousers. Also, of course, don't forget civilian hats, captain US trousers, anything they can get hold of. And in fact, most of the equipment belts that the Confederate, you see a lot of US ammunition pouches. This is because that was what was available. Also, the best source of ammunition at this stage of the war is force. However, the Confederate infantrymen did not expect any of this. The US infantrymen also had a fair chance at heavy. And there's an old joke about the Georgia militia, which says the only thing that's part of the American. There's the Marley from the American Civil War Society.